Okay, everyone. So now that we have created our repository here, let's go and work on our project in our Visual Studio Code here. And let's start building the sample website that we have created, our HTML template. So let's go and try to write some of the markup first. So I would want to go and have a header here. Then inside of the header, I would want to have a div container for the header brand. But before that, let's have a div header that will serve as the container. And then div header brand. And I also want to have a div header nav. So that will be how I will be positioning our elements in our site here. Then inside of the div header brand, I will use a paragraph element here that will contain your name here. So I can put here rod program dev. Okay, so you can put here any name that you would want to use for your portfolio. So me, I specifically want to use rod program dev here. And then inside of our header nav, I would want to have a navigation element that will contain a UL that we will have a class name of header list. And then inside of that, I would want to have three lists. So let's have li header items, then times 3. So we have header items here. And let's put an anchor element in each of this. Let's first have now let's type home. Then let's go here and change this to about me and contact. Let's save that. You would see now that we have here one pending changes for the index.html here. So let's go and try to push that and add those changes to our repository. So what I'm going to do here, again, I'm going to specify the git add command and use the file name that I want to add so that we can go and commit it to our repository in our remote repository. So here I would want to go and add a git commit that I will say write markup for navigation and brand. So let's go and press enter. You would see that we had 17 insertions, 1 deletion, and 1 file change, which is the index.html. And I would want to push that to our repository. And let's wait for it to finish. And here we now have our changes pushed to our repository. No more untracked changes here. Let's go back to our repository here and refresh. Let's see how that will look. So now we have 4 commits and we have the message here that specifies the changes that we have applied. So you would see here we have created here the header element that contains the div header, header brand, header nav, header list, and header items, and the anchor here. So again, that's how you will be commonly practicing the workflow for pushing changes that you've made in your repository. So let's go back to our code editor here. Now the next thing that I would want to do here will be to go and create a styles folder and create another directory. Oops, we don't want that. Press here, images folder, from where I will be placing our assets, our resources inside of the images folder and the CSS style sheet that we will be using. So I'm going to name this style.css. And of course, let's go and try to add some universal reset here. Margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box. Save that. And now let's go and let me just go and open my directory here that contains the images that is in our project here. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to drag it here. So we now have the images. If I check on here, we have the background image and the image that I have here. So again, you can use a different background image if you want, but I would suggest that you try using this first and you just replace the profile picture that I have here and instead make use of a profile picture of yourself in this project. So at least it will be customized. Your project will be customized. So now we can see here in our source control, we have 3 pending changes. And instead of us adding all of the changes that we have here individually by performing the git add, then the file name, I would want to select all of these files here in general, and I would want to push all of those files into our remote repository. So what I'm going to do here, instead of specifying a specific file, I will be using a universal selector here, or let's say a character that will be allowing us to add all of the files all at the same time. Now if we go and try to press on enter here, then let's go and commit these changes. Create folders for images and styles. Create universal selector or universal reset in styles.css. So you will see here that I'm using not past tense because if we will be working with a fellow developer, this is something that we normally practice, and we don't use past tense in the messages that we are doing here, just so that once we merge some changes that we have done, because there's what we call git merge that will be merging a specific part of the project that you're working on to a main project, and this will be done in collaboration with other team members. So we don't use past tense yet. We just specify here what we did, so at least the other developers or the main project manager will be the one to, or the team lead will be the one to merge the changes that you've made in the main project. Okay, so but right now we are not working with any fellow developers, so you can add here any message that you would want to use that will help you remind yourself of the changes that you have made in the project. But this is just a common practice for developers, so that those people who will be doing the merging of the changes that you've made in the main project will be specifically aware of what are the changes that you have made here. So we don't use past tense. Instead, we use the task that we accomplish here. So right now we have here create folders for images and styles, create universal reset in styles.css, and we can even add here copy images to images folder if you really want to be very specific in the task that you were able to accomplish in the changes that you will be committing. So let's press on enter here. You would see here we have 3 files change, 5 insertions. So we have a create mode here with the following numbers. We have now added the images folder and the styles folder that contains the styles.css and the images inside of the images folder. So now let's push that to our remote repository. So let's wait for this to upload. And now that we are done here, it was committed to our main branch here. Let's go back to our repository and see the changes that have been updated in our remote repository here. Okay, so you would see here now that we have the index.html, we have the styles folder and the images folder that contains the images, and we also have here the styles that contains the styles.css. Okay, so let's go back to our code editor and link our style sheet here. So that will be inside of the styles folder, style.css here. And then let's just close this. And let's go and work with our style sheet here. So let me just clear our terminal here. Go back down here. Now I would want to go and make some changes in our styles.css or style.css. So I would want to make the root element based from what we have learned in our previous session. Right now, we will be using 62.5%. If you remember, that's 10 pixels in equivalent. And we have our body selector here. I would want to select a font family. But before that, let's go and get our Google font. So let me just go to our browser. Let's open up our project here and then open it up in our browser. So we can see here that these are the contents of what we have so far accomplished here. Now let's go to here and let's get this style sheet here. I actually added here two font family, the Modak one, the font family Modak. That was the first thing that I tried out, but I preferred the font family Stalinist one here. So if you want to check out how the Modak font family looks like, you can also try to check it out, test it out. But for now, so that we won't be wasting any time, let's just go back to our project here and then place that on top of our internal link here. Format the document, saved, and then let's go and get our font family here. So let's go and I'm going to copy both of it, so at least then I'm just going to comment out the other one. Going to comment this out, Control plus C, because I don't want to use that. I want to use the Stalinist one, cursive font family here. Then I would want the font size to be 1.8 rem, and the color for the whole body will be the text color will be white. Let's go back to our browser here. Let's check how that will look. And there we go. So this changed to white. So don't worry, we'll be changing that. Let's go first in our styles here. And then let's go and as usual, we would want to have some sort of comment here that will make it a lot easier for us to navigate through our document. So we have our header navigation. Later on, we'll be working on another section. So let me just go and put some space here. Now I would want to go and specify the height to 100 VH. Background image, let's first go and use yellow as a basic background first. So at least we will be able to identify that we have the header here. Then let's go and try to refresh our browser and see if this will work. Let me just check here. Let me save this. Then go back to our browser, then refresh. So it's not working, our placeholder background color. Let me just press on F12 here and let's see what's happening. Okay, it should not be background image. My bad, everyone. So again, it's you would see here that it's giving us here a pop-up tip here, a tool tip, invalid property value, which is we shouldn't have used this, and we should have used background color here so that it will be applied. Okay, so that's the good thing about the developer tools. Again, that will be helping you give some ideas. It will be giving you some ideas, and you would see here it's showing us the good thing about Mozilla Firefox here, why I actually love Mozilla. It has a lot of features here that you can use for identifying the different things that you will need for testing out the layout of your website. So right now I placed here a background color yellow as a basic placeholder for the background, and we go here, so that will be our first header section here. Now let's go back to our code editor. Now that we know that it's working, let's not use background color, but instead let's use the image that we have here. So images, then let's see, images, then pixels.jpg here, and I would want to specify the background size, and I want it to be a cover for the header section here. So let's go back to our browser and refresh, and there we go. We now have our background image. Okay, so let's go back to our code editor here. So I would want to go and select the class header here. So let's go and copy this, and I would want to apply some height of 10 rem, and I would want to again go and select the header brand here, so at least I will be sure that I will not be making any typographical error here. Then I would want to apply padding of 3 rem, width of 20%, text align, center. Let's see how this will look. And let's apply a placeholder background color first of red here, just so that we will know how that will look. So let's go back to our browser, and there we go. There it is, right? So we can see here the header brand and the size of the header brand. Perhaps we can go and add some more space here. See how that will look. Okay, that looks better because I use a different text here, unlike the example that we had that contains your text here or your name here. I used rodprogramdev here. I think we should also go and try to specify here display inline block. Then refresh. I think that's already okay. So now let's try to go and apply some styling for our header nav here. Let's go back to our code editor. Now let's try to go and work with our header nav. So let me just go and select this. Then here, I want the background color to be RGBA 0.562 for the opacity. And then I want to position it fixed. And then top will be 2%, left will be 60%. And then, of course, we will need to target the parent element, which is the header div here, container, and position that to relative. If you remember, that's how we go and target from where we can position this header nav here that is nested inside of the div header here. Okay, so let's go and refresh that, and there we go. We now have it here on the right side of the browser, right? So now let's go back to our code editor here. And let's work on the header list. So first, let's go and work with the header items here. Let's apply some, I don't want the still list style type to be bulleted. So let's go and float this to the left. Then list style type none. Oops. Property value of none. Let's see how this will look first. And there we go, right? Now let's add some padding inside of it. Padding of at least 2 rem. And let's go back here. And there we go. We now have our navigation here on the right side. Now let's go and target the links here. Let me just go back to our markup here. Let's call this class names of header links or link. So let's go back to our, let me just target this. Then perhaps we can add S there. Let's go and just list will be, because these are links, right? So perhaps we can add some S there. And then I want to remove the text decoration. Make it none. Color will be white. And the cursor will be pointer. Let's go back here and then refresh. And there we go. We now have our header navigation here. And we have our links here in our first section. And we now have our changes for our header section here. Let's go back here and then perhaps let's go and comment this out first. Go back here, refresh, and there we go, right? Now let's go and try to git add all of this, the changes that we have made here. So last time we write markup for navigation brand. Let's go and git commit here -m add styles for navigation brand and list items -links. Git push. Now we're done with the push here. Let's go back here and refresh this. Let's see the changes. And we now have here the commit that we've just recently created last 2 minutes ago. And if we go back here, we now have the changes that we've applied here. And in the index.html markup and in our CSS style sheet. So that will be all for this lesson, for this specific lesson. In the next lesson, we will learn about how we can go and publish this site on the web for free without you having the need to have a hosting platform from where you will need to pay for a web server. So we can do this using GitHub pages. So we will learn how to maximize the use of GitHub pages for us to be able to access the site that we are building right now on the internet. So thank you everyone, and see you on our next lessons.